desire to be a good person, God bless you. Obviously, we didn't need Jesus to tell us that. So everybody already believed that. Or as I would tell my students, they didn't crucify people for saying that. When Jesus got done with the Beatitudes, the religious leaders of his day wanted to kill him. They wouldn't have wanted to kill him if he had said, God bless people who try to do what is right. No. No, he talked about God's blessing us on people who are victims of our unjust and unfair world. Okay, what else have I got? How do you help people relate to words like father and love when they have had traumatic experiences? Again, that's a big question the church has been paying, I think, a good deal of attention to in recent decades. I don't know that I got special insight into it, or if what works for me would work for anybody else. I live very much in a world of metaphor and imagination. I think very early at my time at the seminary, I think I would have gotten wiser when I was a professor. I had a woman who was a student, unmarried woman with a daughter, tell me, I'm never going to teach my daughter to call God Father because she doesn't have a father. And there's no way she'll know what that means. And what I said was, I've never had a shepherd, but I like the 23rd Psalm. I don't know, why is the 23rd Psalm so meaningful to me? Well, at some point in my life, somebody explained to me what it is, what it means to think of God as our shepherd. So I don't, but you know, I wanted to be sympathetic to her concern, and yet we have to use our imagination. Also, my favorite metaphor for Jesus is bridegroom. We are the bride of Christ. We are the bride of Christ. I think of Jesus as my bridegroom, my husband, and I'm not gay, but I think of myself and all of us as the bride of Christ. That works for me in spite of gender. So I'm only talking about what works for me. I do get that for many women, the image of God as Father has been troubling, not necessarily because their own father is unappealing to them, but just because it implies that God is a male being. And neither Christianity nor Judaism has ever believed that God is male. Christians might have believed it, neither. The Christian church, in no denomination or form that I'm aware of, has ever taught that God was male. And certainly Jews have never believed it. It says right there in Genesis that God created them, and God created them in God's image. Male and female, God created them. That kind of settles the matter right there. The men and women were created alike in the image of God. God is not male. However, most of our metaphors and images for God are masculine. So especially Father, but others also. And that is we have been too limited in our use of metaphors and imagery for God. I think the church is getting much better with that. We're using more diverse images, more diverse metaphors, but I do think that it's certainly, unless you want to just kind of jettison all the centuries of tradition, to some extent you'd have to find some way of letting those images be meaningful to you at some level, realizing that they're all limited. Also, I had a woman tell me that she said, she said, in my work, I'll tell you what it was in a moment. You know who I found the image of God as Father is especially meaningful to? I said, who is that? Women who have suffered from abusive were exploitative fathers. That's her job. She says, I work with women who were abused by their fathers, and for them the image of God as Father is especially meaningful to them. And I'm thinking, well, that sounds counterintuitive. And she thought, well, not at all. That's a hole in their life. That's, they haven't had a loving father, and they want to have a loving father. And when you speak of God as the loving Father, that's meaningful to them. I mean, when you hear, I thought, well, yeah. I mean, when I hear of God is my heavenly Father, I don't think that God is like my earthly father. He wasn't abusive or anything, but I also don't think. So I get that there's some distinction there. I don't know how much else I can say about that. It's not my expertise.